What's up, people of the internet? So we're coming up on the last couple of days at the warehouse in the rig, and I realized how inundated with work I've been, and I haven't really made a lot of progression videos. So not much has happened in the last couple of weeks. Just to touch base and fill you in. Basically, just been putting my head down. We're getting ready to open a new retail store, and so there's been lots of work and lots of hours. But in preparation for moving over to the KOA, I have done a few things, made a few upgrades, took a journey due west out to Craig. It's the only place where it's like the closest dollar store. And of course, you know me, I gotta get some thrifty items and tools from the dollar store to make life better. So I made a few journeys, a couple of modifications that I'm going to show you inside this morning. Just made a wonderful breakfast. I'm trying real hard to go back to this book I read, The Plant Paradox. It's by Stephen Gundry, and it's I really like the eating plan because it's super basic. It really is. It's actually an easy one to follow, living in the camper and doing road life. So I figure why not attack improving my diet at the same time as improving my lifestyle with the minimalism journey. So yeah, let's go inside. I'm going to show you what's gone down and what we're doing before we head over to KOA. So number one, it's been ultra convenient being in this neighborhood. It's Sunday morning, and as you can see, super quiet right now. I've had this little cul-de-sac pretty much to myself. There's a few people that live in these lofts right up here that have also got dogs, but for the most part, it's been chill. The downside is just during the work week. I mean, the neighborhood is up and at 'em at, I don't know, 6 o'clock in the morning on any given day. So with my schedule being primarily retail focused, I always have odd hours off, and often I'm either wanting to sleep in until at least 7:30 or 8, or something to that effect. So while I will miss the absolutely free rent, I'm not going to miss, some of the inconveniences of the neighborhood. And I was at the KOA this morning getting the propane refilled. Hey, Shiloh Bubba. And it's really nice, man. There's a river over there, and I'm looking forward to it. So what I wanted to show you guys today is kind of my improvement to the gray water system. So obviously, during the winter, it's going to be far too cold to use the standard... I better turn that off. During the winter, it's going to be too cold to use the plumbing. And so you've got to winterize your rig, otherwise the pipes can freeze, things can crack, and then come spring season, it's, the lines will be broken. So everything's winterized and antifreezed up in terms of the internal systems for the rig. However, I realized that I must find a way to do dishes. I cook a lot. I don't want to eat out all the time. And I was like, I need a contained gray water system to just do some simple things. Like I don't need running water, but I do need a little bit of water every few days to do things like wash dishes, rinse out glasses. Every now and then you want to just kind of like, I don't know, get a rag wet, and wipe everything down and wash it off. So I've tried a lot of different approaches. I was buying the 7th generation wet wipes. Basically, it's more or less this disinfectant spray. It's food. What am I trying to say? It's safe for all surfaces, including food surfaces. So, it's good in a camper because I don't have to worry about getting everything rinsed completely. It's all natural. I think it's the essence of thyme oil. So it kills viruses and bacteria and all the nasties, but at the same time, it's not harmful if you accidentally consume it. So I was using those wet wipes for a while, and that kind of worked, but they're expensive, $4, and I was burning through it every 3 to 5 days. So I switched over to this, which works better with paper towels, but still I have this issue of every now and then I need to cook or want to cook, and then I've just got this set of dishes, right? So I'm not gonna go full on cooking every single day, but what I can do is I can meal prep. I can make a large meal on a day where I feel like cooking, go ahead and do one load of dishes, and then I'll have 2 to 3 days worth of food to munch on. So here's what I kind of settled on. I found these at the dollar store, of course. straight up Essentials dish pan. You are damn right. Essentials is correct. That's what the dollar store does best. Like the stuff that you really, really need to get by, that you shouldn't have to pay a ton of money for. That's where I go for all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I got 2 of these pans, and I leave them inserted like this most of the time, so it acts like a sink bowl, but it's contained and doesn't drain underneath. So in the beginning, I was having this issue of trying to not use any water whatsoever, but there's a drain in there obviously, and stuff was just inevitably, by sheer habit, you know, I'd have like a little bit of my coffee left and I just throw it in the sink. I'm like, shit, that can't get mixed in with the antifreeze, and then I was mopping it up. It was nasty. So I leave these in full time, and they act as a little sink and a catch-all. And then when I'm ready to do dishes, what I've been doing is I've figured out that more or less 1 gallon of water is more than enough to do a full load of dishes. Honestly, you can do a coffee pot full of coffee and still do the dishes on 1 gallon. So I feel like 1 gallon every 4 days, seriously conserving in my opinion. So as opposed to a traditional setup where you're just flicking the water faucet on and, I don't know, using 5-10 gallons every time you do dishes, this is 1 gallon every few days. So what I do is I heat up a little bit of water to boiling in the pot, and usually this pot is dirty to begin with, so it's nice because it helps cook off some of the food waste. And then I'll have a little bit of cold water suds and soap in there, and basically I just mix them together to make some lukewarm water. So that's going to be for washing the dishes. Then I pour about the other half gallon, whatever's left. And before I do that, I usually rinse this pan out. Just because I'm particular, you know. Put about half a gallon in the rinse bucket. So after I'm done washing the dishes, I then run it through a little rinse pan. Cool. And then it goes over here into the dry space. So I'm going to whip these dishes up real quick. We'll cut and we'll come back and I'll show you what to do with the dirty gray water. Alright, so we got the dishes done, and I'm going to show you kind of what the contained gray water system is like. So this is approximately 1 gallon, a little bit less, worth of water waste. And we've got the gray water from the dishes and then the rinse stuff. So what I did is I went to Walmart. I found this. It's actually a freshwater BPA-free tank. Although I'm not storing anything I'm going to drink in it, so I didn't really care about that. But it's a perfect size. Like, I like that it's slim. I don't have a lot of space in the camper, so the big square ones really didn't make sense. It would have come out to like right here. But this thing will hold 8 gallons, and it's got this cool piece right here. So I've got this piece that can go in if you're toting it around, right? To keep it from sealing. I'm sorry, to keep it sealed and keep it from spilling. And then if you need a nozzle on the way out, you can pull it out, flip it around, and it's got a reversible nozzle. I actually like that nozzle as a downspout, kind of like a downstem in here, just because when you're transporting it after the fact and you got all this nasty water in there and you slosh this around, that actually keeps it from coming out the top. So you don't necessarily have to use this piece, but I've got it. So that was like 15 bucks. And when you're only using 1 gallon per wash cycle, you know, I'd say you get 7 different washes, as well as a gallon's worth of random liquid waste. And usually what'll happen is I'll have a half a cup of coffee, I'll brush my teeth, you know, I'll have like small amounts of liquid here and there that just get tossed in. And so having it readily accessible on the inside of the camper keeps it from freezing, and I can just pour anything down the hatch. So you might ask, ew, that's nasty. What's to keep it from stinking? So the solution I've come up with is really easy. Let me pause camera and grab the stuff that I put in there to neutralize odor. Alright, so this is the stuff that I've been using to break down the gray water. It's actually intended for a black water tank, like for your poop and your pee in your toilet. However, since I'm not using that right now, I remembered I had it. And yeah, what I did is this packet is supposed to be for 1 black water tank for 1 dumping. Granular 1 dose. So what I did is I took about 1/4 of this, just a couple tablespoons, poured it down the hatch, and it works tremendously well in terms of breaking down any smells, any food waste. When it comes out, it's super just like I don't know, it's kind of slimy water, but there's definitely no food waste. It's all broken down. And it keeps it smelling clean. Now, next time I'll probably look towards something a little bit more natural. I just got this stuff at Walmart. It definitely works, but it is something that you would want to dispose down a sewer line or a public toilet, or just somewhere you can flush it where it's going to go into the water system. I don't think I would dump this out in nature. So I did find at Ace Hardware some stuff that's just microorganisms and enzymes. It seems pretty safe and natural, and as far as I could tell, it was completely biodegradable. And in that situation, so long as what you're eating and putting into your water is not chemical based, you know, if it's just natural food waste, spring water, and some microorganisms that are fully okay for nature, then I think in certain circumstances it might be okay to dump it outside. But you always want to double check, because introducing certain microorganisms to certain parts of protected forests or whatever isn't always cool. It's one thing if it's your own land and you have like a composting situation or something like that. So I'm thinking forward in terms of what would I do if I had my own land. I think I would set up a sustainable composting situation where I could dispose of my gray water and use it in, say, a gardening practice or a holding tank that I use to water trees or something like that. And this I would not want to water my trees with. So anyways, I use that to break down the smells and the water. And again, one packet will last me 4 tanks, and one tank lasts me approximately a week. That's if I'm really doing a lot in the way of dishes and cooking. And so far it's been like lasting me almost 2 weeks. And so yeah, when you're ready to dump your stuff, obviously you just throw it down the hatch. Whoa, this is hard with one hand. I made sure to get a funnel that had a large enough opening that I could pour a decent amount of wastewater in there quickly without making a mess. I didn't want it to back up or anything like that. And originally when I bought this funnel, it was intended for a gas tank, and there was this plastic kind of mesh, I don't know what you call, covering over the hole. And I thought that was going to be a good thing at first. I was like, cool, it'll catch the food waste. Really what happened was it clogged up very quickly. Then the water just backed up and sat there. It was nasty. So I ended up punching that hole out, and ever since it's worked much better. Just rely on this stuff to break down any tiny little food wastes. So yeah, that's the deal. It took me a grand total of about 15 minutes to completely clean up my camper, do all my dishes, yada yada. So that's the system. And oh, let me show you the couple of things we got at the dollar store just to improve life and make cabinetry a little more spacious. So I found these cool divider things that gave me an extra layer, which you wouldn't believe how much that helps. So now I've got a nice little place for my paper plates and bowls. I try not to use that stuff too often, but without water and trying to minimize dishes, sometimes that is just the way to go. If you're just, you know, getting some leftovers or something, it's a little bit easier than cleaning up glass. So I store my basic spices, salt and pepper, either down here or right up there. Coffee and just whatever I'm doing at the time, supplement wise, keep it right in front of my face. This kind of thing I upgraded at the thrift store. So I basically got rid of my glass. I had these really heavy bowls, these things, and this is what I was using for everything, storage, eating. They're pretty heavy. I had 2 of those, as well as a saucepan that was 100% glass. The saucepan was super heavy. Although I definitely prefer cooking out of glass, don't get me wrong, and storing food. I think it has the best properties for food storage and water storage, but in a camper, I'm always thinking about weight, and I was at the thrift store and I found these really incredible pots and pans, and so I'm upgrading, getting rid of the glass. It's too heavy. So this stuff is going away. Those are from IKEA. I took that back to the thrift store. I got these steel bowls. They're super nice, and they're lightweight. I think these might actually be dog bowls, but whatever, they work. So I got an extra bowl and cut the weight in half or less. I got this, a brand new stainless steel saucepan. I mean, it's nicer than the one I had for like $2. And then I also got this guy. So I got rid of the stainless steel one that I used to have. Honestly, it was a little bit big. And I really love this green one because it's like camper sized, you know? It's small, it's a big enough pot of soup that it's like 2 or 3 days worth of food for me. The other one was just too big, too wide, too clunky, didn't really fit up here very well. So very, very happy with this find. Again, I found all this stuff at the thrift store for like under $5. That's the way to go, man. Between the dollar store and the thrift stores, if you just kind of set your intention of what it is that you need, hold that thought in your mind, and then just wait. You know, sometimes I've had to wait months, sometimes it's been a week, but almost always and without fail, you know, whatever I am looking for will show up at the dollar store or the thrift. And I think it's because anything you've ever needed, someone else has already bought before. And they've probably gotten bored and upgraded. So this stuff is circulating in the thrift stores, for sure. You just got to go in there every few days, keep your eyes peeled, and wait for it. And if you can't find a thrift store, I will do the same thing. Like, I'll go window shop. I walk through Walmart every so often, not that I want to be in there, just to peruse the aisles and see if there's anything on my mind that I have currently been needing that happens to be on sale or sticking out at me. I found this the other day for like $12. It's the perfect item for what I need at the moment, and it was ultra cheap. So that's just kind of how I roll. Part of getting into this camper and becoming more and more minimalist by the day, it's allowed me to be more and more patient. And the more patience that I build up, I think that works in my favor financially. I'm really struggling right now to get a handle on how much I spend on food. I think I spend a lot less on food as compared to most people, but given my stated goals, I'm getting really nerdy about how do I maximize and make my food life extremely efficient financially, but also get the nutrients I need and be extremely healthy at the same time. I want to be nourished on this journey. I don't want to feel deprived, and I think that eating and having a classy system for food and food storage and just a good way to eat on the regular is really important. There's no benefit to this lifestyle if a year down the road you end up not feeling well due to sleep or eating or just lifestyle habits that are unsanitary or something like that. So I am out to prove that we can not only live differently, but possibly better, and save a lot of money at the same time, or at least redirect that money into something that's more fruitful, more meaningful. I know that me personally, I have had to give a lot up living in this rig, but I'm gaining a lot of things that are super important to me, and I've been able to do some cool stuff like fix my car and make some upgrades to my life, like this blanket, and get some things for Shiloh that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. And so it's a set of values and differences as to where your money goes, and that's what I think I like about it. All right, Bubba, tell everybody peace out. Shiloh says it's Sunday and I'm tired and I don't want to get up. All right, y'all, peace out.